What's up, guys? This is your host, Captain Zach, and I would love to welcome you to Entitled Parents. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, this one's called Entitled Mom Doesn't Understand Why I Won't Give My Dog to Her Daughter. Backstory. About 5 years ago, my family rescued a golden retriever named Maya. She was my responsibility, so my family refers to her as my dog. And she came into my life when I was dealing with a death in the family. Needless to say, she helped me a lot and is very special to me. I moved to university and I come back during the summer. Neighbors next door are a family of 3. Mom and dad who are always at work and a 6-year-old daughter. This summer, the mom asked me if I could babysit her daughter while she was at work, and she paid me in exchange. Daughter, let's call her Kay, grew very attached to Maya, who loves most kids, and they played together almost constantly whenever she came over. After summer ended, Mom came to pick up Kay one last time, and Kay burst into tears and started hugging Maya, saying she didn't want to leave her. I calmly explained that Maya was my dog and I was like her mommy, so she would be sad if she had to leave her mom. Kay calmed down and understood after the conversation, but Mom was not having it and she started to cause a scene. Really? Can't you see she loves that dog? She promises to take care of it. Kay sees how upset her mom is, so she goes back to crying and grabbing Maya. I'm sure she does, but she is still my dog. That's not really fair. You're not even here most of the time. Doesn't the dog deserve an owner who will spend all their time with her? Doesn't change the fact that she's my dog. My family is still here to take care of her and they love her very much. I'm not going to give you my dog. Well, it's not really giving her away, is it? How much have I paid you? That definitely covers the cost of buying the dog. Oh, at this point, I really wanted to scream in her face. She paid me to watch her kid, not to buy my flipping dog. I really didn't want to blow up in front of Kay because she's a sweet girl who probably only continued to cry because her mom escalated the situation and confused her. So I separated Maya from Kay and told her, the dog, to go inside. I told Mom to leave me and my dog alone and to find a new babysitter next summer. And later on, she texted my mom saying I was a foul-mouthed girl, never even cussed in front of her 6-year-old child, who ruined the life of a 6-year-old girl. Ha! Oh my goodness, did they really expect a girl who is a Redditor to give up her dog? Like, don't you know how internet girls feel about their dogs? Like, it's kind of gross, but come on, I'm sure they'd rather give their foot. Alrighty, this one's called Entitled Mom Pours Drink on Me and Insults Me About My Illness. So, this happened about 10 minutes ago, and I'm pretty urinated. You know the whole shtick. English is my first language, I'm on mobile, blah 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 blah. On to the story. Also, just to add, I'm a high-functioning autistic and it's easily noticeable in how I talk, react, and move. This will be relevant later. Here's the cast. There's me, Entitled Mom, who is indeed a flipwit, and innocent kid. She was just a toddler not knowing where she was going. So I'm at a fairly famous theme park in Australia and they have this wildlife area with a small Aboriginal and bushranger info shack where they have a whip crack game where you have to hit all the cans on a fence with a whip. It was a connect game. When innocent kid walks over curiously and accidentally spills my drink. Here's how the conversation went. Entitled kid spills drink. Pooh! Entitled mom gives me a death glare. It's fine, it's okay, it's okay. Don't you flipping swear, my little innocent kid! Look, I'm sorry for swearing. It was just a reflex. Entitled mom then walks over to my cup and flippin' pours it on me. What the fornication under consent of the king? That'll teach you fudging autists not to mess with normal people. You shouldn't even be here, you flippin' degenerate. People like you should just stay in the mental hospital where you flippin' belong. This fudging landwhale had the flippin' audacity to pour a drink on me, then insult and degrade me because I have autism? After hearing that, I just walked off to get away. As I'm walking, innocent kid runs up to me and then hugs my leg. I'm sorry I spilled your drink and I'm sorry for my mom hurting you. It's okay, kid. Thank you. After innocent kid apologized, I walked off knowing that even the entitled mom's toddler was still respectful and that there's still hope for this young girl. Okay, let's take a second to appreciate that little girl. Okay, that was really sweet. Even though it sounded really creepy coming from a 20-year-old man, it was still sweet. This one's called Entitled Aunt Thinks a $550 collectible console is worthless and I should just give it to my cousin because it's a cheap old thing. So, for some backstory. Growing up, I was always a PlayStation guy, but was always fascinated with Nintendo, mostly due to my love for the Pokemon anime, but could never justify to my parents why I needed one. Recently, I bought a Nintendo 64 Pikachu Edition, brand new, never opened. For those who don't know, Pikachu Edition Nintendo 64 is a very rare console, and the sealed ones are even rarer. They currently go for $550 for the sealed and $250 for the opened ones, and graded ones are $1,225. I was gonna get mine graded before this. Recently, my aunt came over to my house because my cousin wanted to meet me. He's an amazing kid, definitely his dad's influence. His mother, on the other hand, is the exact definition of an entitled bimbo. Example: one day she locked herself in a room with rat poison and threatened to drink it if my other aunt and uncle didn't leave her house because she didn't want any guests that day. Very interesting creature. So I was out and told them to take the keys from my neighbor and enter the house and just make themselves comfortable. After a short while, I came home, and to my shock and horror and everything in between, I found my Nintendo 64 opened with the Pokemon cartridge in as both of them are playing. I asked in shock, what were they doing? And in the most monotonous tone, "What? We were just playing." Steaming with anger, I asked her, "Do you realize what you have done?" She said, "What? It's not like he's gonna break it. Anyways, it's really old and weak anyway. You should just get better things." At that point, I thought to myself, it's no point arguing with her since people like her never understand. So I just gave up and played with my cousin. By the way, after playing for some time, I realized why people really like these retro Pokemon games. They're fun. After it was all said and done and it was time for her to leave, as the kid sat in the car, she asked me if I could give my console to my cousin as he really liked it. I straight up refused. She said, "It's just a cheap old thing, you can buy like 1,000,000 of them, just give him this." I said that she could buy a stock Nintendo 64 for quite cheap, but I was not giving them this one. She said that it was my duty to give them this console as he is basically my brother. I refused as she huffed and puffed and said, "Fine, I'll buy it from you." And she handed me a 20 saying, "Keep the change." Yeah, this would not even cover the empty box, which itself is $60. I told her that it was worth $550, and she said if I didn't want to give her this, I should have just said so. This finally broke me as I said, "Do you know that you just removed $200 worth of value from it? You should have just paid me for this instead of offering me a 20 then huffing at me. Just because dad and uncle never tell you no doesn't mean I won't." Hearing this, she just stood there in shock. I think her brain was not able to register what just happened. As she sat in her car, she regained consciousness and shouted, "I will tell your father about this," rolled up her windows and just left. Now, people, no one likes her, not even my father, so that is the least of my worries. It's just good that I will never have to hear from her again. Almost worth the $200 I lost in value of the console. Alright, and here's an update. Best thing happened. My dad called me and apparently my aunt complained about me. He said that it's okay and he will have a talk with me. He called me and said, I quote, "You yelled at her for opening the game." "Yep, Dad." "Okay, she was wrong." "Yes, Dad." "So how's everything else?" Normal conversation ensued. Okay guys, who else physically cringed when he said that he found the console opened? That straight up gave me a hernia from clenching so hard. This story's called, "A Grown Man Fought a 15-year-old Soccer Referee in a 4th Grade Game." So I am 15 and I was refereeing a 4th grade soccer game of 9-year-olds. When I got to the field, I was pulled over to the side by the leave owner. That said, this coach was trouble, and he had been known to flip out at bad calls and such. So I was reffing the game, and in the second half, one kid kept tripping people, so I would tell him to stop, and give the other team a free kick from where the tripping happened. So after one time, I told him, if you do that again, I'm going to give you a card, and he would be out. He got angry with me and was not happy he got called out on his BS. 10 minutes go by and they got scored on by the blue team 3 times, and each time the whole team is yelling at their goalie. It wasn't his fault because they had no defense. and the whole team was playing up, so it was a 1v1 breakaway. The tripping kid does it again, but I didn't see it because this kid fell and they were next to each other, and I didn't see if it was a flop or if he actually got tripped. The whole team was crowding around me telling me that he was tripped, but I can't call anything that I didn't see, so they had a goal kick. And in 4th grade soccer in the league, they are on the enemy team's side and the enemy team has to back up to the half. The kid who got tripped ran at the tripping kid and basically just ran him over, so it was chaos. Now I was holding both kids by their arms and keeping them out of fighting range. I told them to stop and asked the non-tripping kid's coaches what to do. He said he would take him on the bench and he wouldn't get to play for the rest of the game. This wasn't good enough for the entitled parent coach because he was running at me. Note, he is 250 pounds and an absolute mega chad, and 45 years old, and I am 120 pounds and 15 years old. He wanted to fight. The owner of the referee company I worked for was watching and ran out onto the field, and then cheated up to each other like they were going to fight. The head referee guy was in front of me, protecting me from this guy. He said, "I'll call the police right now if you don't turn around and go to the bench." The guy said, "No, you can call the police." Basically saying, "Do it, no balls, I want to be arrested." So I called the game and the police showed up. They hauled him away in handcuffs. He had a little kid there and he said, "Where's my daddy going with the police officers?" His teammate filled him in by saying, "Your dad's going to jail forever because he's bad." I went home and was so stressed out that I went to bed. This happened at 1 in the afternoon. I slept until 10 at night and I asked if it was morning when I woke up. And my mom said, "No, it's night. I'm going to bed. If you're hungry, eat a cupcake and ice cream and you can play video games for as long as you want." So I fell asleep at like 4 in the morning. Aw man, I was hoping to read about a kid getting decked. I guess this is good enough. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.